Okay, so this is kind of weird one, but my dad, he was diagnosed as schizophrenic in his 20s, 20-something years ago, and I'm 25 now. And recently, well, it goes in kind of seasons. Sometimes I don't think it, sometimes I do. Things like hearing, not in my head, but things like paper falling down that doesn't, no, there's just, everything is fine. I check, nothing happened. And this one time I got really scared. Not like that type of, but the type of that I like stopped and thought like, what the fuck? So I opened my fridge, almost fully open, and I see a shadow down there on the floor. I check, nothing. This was daytime, I had slept well, everything was fine, and that door does not make a shadow. I know that, but that time it just did. So things like that, it's quite rare, but sometimes I just see something at the corner of my eye. Like a cable might look like a fucking there's not really like nothing specific I could, tell you, oh, it's this, that I saw a fucking elf, or, I can't tell that specifically. But obviously I'm thinking this because my dad has schizophrenia. He has medication and stuff like that. Plus, because he was diagnosed in his 20s and I am 25 now. Even when I was a kid, like, I have always had such a wild imagination. Like, I remember being at home. Of course, in the dark, everything can seem scary, but like my chair, the back of it looked so much like a ghost. Which, I don't know. All this might be my weird, wild ADHD mind. Or underlying, I hope that's the word I'm supposed to say there. Correct one. Underlying. Either this is underlying schizophrenia, or just my over wild imagination, and like, because I'm already pre-ADHD. Like, my mind, it doesn't stop, and when it does, I really have to work to be able to do that. Either it's like a series I'm watching, or a movie, or something to distract myself. But like, yeah, those things that I see and hear, not in my head again, but around me. And then also, people are like my worst enemy. Worse than best. I like them and I don't. When someone is like, when I find someone interesting and we have like common things to talk about, obviously, yeah, then. But in general, say there is a wedding or some kind of party where I don't know barely anyone. The worst fucking thing ever. I rather stay at home. And also, like, this sounds really bad, but like, recently my friend got really hurt, and I was seeing this whole thing happening, and I didn't do anything. Now, my therapist said, okay, it was a shock. It was a shock. I don't know, like, did I even describe it correctly to him? Like, did I don't know. The only thing I can remember was in my head I was like, do something. But then again, I'm talking about a friend that has a rough past, let's just say that much. And I was like, okay, yeah, she can handle this situation. I don't need to do anything. That was literally what I was talking with myself in my head, thinking. Like, I mean, I kind of just froze. My feelings went there. In general, I am kind of more emotionless. Like, I mean, of course I laugh and have stuff, like, have feelings like normal people, but like, towards other people, I feel like it's just not there. Enough, at least. I don't know. I don't know, just things like this. I don't like people. I feel like they want to hurt me most of the times. When I look at them, if they look at first me, that's the worst thing. And then the anxiety kicks in, and this is not everyday life, but like here and there, depending the looks of the people. Yeah, I don't like people. They are weird. They scare me most of the times. And yeah, like, and the weirdest, like, who sees a shadow on the floor and then it's nothing? For real. And I'm just so emotionless. I've like realized that recently with my mates. Like, it's just the hardest thing for me has always been even saying like sorry or thank you, for real. Even if it's my mother or my sister, family member, like, I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about all this, but obviously, like, without seeing and hearing things that didn't actually happen, I wouldn't be talking about this. And my dad having the illness makes it even worse. It all kind of, well, all this was already a thing, but I've been thinking it more and more and more ever since last summer when my sister told me. I don't know what we were talking about, like, specifically, but she just kind of mentioned that, yeah, our dad has schizophrenia, medication for it and stuff like that. Plus, like, now that I know it, he is sort of like, sometimes in the kitchen, when we are visiting him, it's been a while since last. So things like that, like the illness actually being in my family, seeing and hearing stuff. Oh my, thank God there hasn't been so far like talking and anything in my head. It's just all around me. I often hear things from my kitchen, and it's not like the normal water tapping or, you know, anything that usually makes noise all the time there. It's just out of nowhere. I hear like maybe like a knife or something dropping, and then I go check and there's nothing. Everything is like it was before. And shadow on the floor, really? What the? Yeah. Those things, like, and then just I love being alone. I love being alone. It's my happy place. I'm just so much like my dad, and when I compare my mental state or whatever to the people that have it and explain it and describe it, today I watched, like, not even long ago, one video where this dude has the illness and he was talking about, again, how he is and stuff like that. There was so much I like recognized. He doesn't like people. He always thinks they want bad for him. He has obviously more extreme, like full-on hallucinations, and like that so bad paranoia you can't even go out, or if you do, you're gonna hallucinate. It's like I have sort of all those, but mildly, and not as extreme, and I'm lacking the hallucinations, and it's just like I recognize so much from, for example, from this dude when he talks all this being scared of people and not liking to be outside, loving to be inside, you know, and then hearing and seeing things. Well, luckily so far no full-on hallucinations, but I'm just kind of waiting when it's gonna happen. Like, where are you? If it's gonna come, just please, come on. Well, it's gonna be hell if it does, I know, because the things I have anxiety about, oh boy. And in general, just like, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping all over the place. I'm trying to keep track, but it's hard. Just in general, my mind is quite negative, especially towards myself. And I feel like I'm always on the verge of just like, when is it gonna happen? Okay, I think I've talked about this thing, this illness, all of this too long already. So yeah, just some thoughts. Maybe in some years I'm gonna come back and make a video. I have it, or I don't. Who knows? Future tells, time tells. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just my wild imagination, and because like I make like, I can't think the word again, but like if someone says something like, for example, my sisters told me, and then later to our other sister, that our dad has it, then I'm instantly, okay, I am his son, I have these things happening, I must be developing it. It's wild. I make decisions and like so quickly without even thinking about it really that much, which is kind of one of my weaknesses. But yeah, I don't know. It might be all the trauma from childhood, but then again, it was like about 2 years that I did get real trauma from our biological parents. After that, we were taken into custody, and then slowly getting better. There is just so much, like our past and my past, like almost 10 years bullying obviously has affected me, but I don't know. Who would see a shadow on the floor? Who would hear a paper falling down and didn't? Nothing happened, nothing was there. Without those, I wouldn't probably think this as much, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point, so probably better stop here and leave it there. And yeah.